Hello everyone, this is part 5 of What If Naruto Had the Full 9 Tails, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to see more, comment down below of sunlight shining through the window onto his face. The blonde groaned and turned over in a futile attempt to drift back to sleep, but eventually he sat up. Looking around the room, the blonde noticed his two teammates still sleeping peacefully. Quietly as his ninja skills allowed him, Naruto got up and made his way to the bathroom to prepare for the day. Good morning, Naruto-kun. Hinata greeted as Naruto exited the bathroom. The blonde stifled a yawn and waved to the young Hyuga heiress. Naruto then nodded to Shino in a silent greeting in which the stoic ninja returned. So what are you planning to do while we wait for the time limit to expire? Naruto asked as Hinata entered the bathroom. I feel it would be best to train lightly. This would ensure that our bodies are rested for anything yet not out of shape in any way. Shino replied. That's probably for the best. Naruto replied. The room was filled with comfortable silence for a moment until it was broken. Naruto, may I ask you a question? Shino asked, turning to look at the blonde. Without his shades on, deep brown eyes stared evenly into flaming blue. Sure. Naruto replied. You said Hinata stated she loved you right before she entered her death-like state. Shino said before looking at Naruto for confirmation. The blonde Jinchuriki nodded, so Shino continued. Have the two of you discussed this? No, we haven't. Naruto answered distantly as his mind replayed the incident. I believe it would be best if you did. Issues concerning strong emotions with other teammates tend to put strain on teamwork. Shino said. Naruto returned his attention to Shino and sighed. I understand, but what do I tell her? I honestly can't say if feel that way about her. Naruto replied. Besides, emotions like love are distractions. Caring makes you weak. Usually I wouldn't argue with the logic of your statement, but I truly disagree. Naruto, I can see that you care for our teammate. Not only did you destroy her entire city when you believe her dead, but anytime somebody male besides me talks to her you tense slightly in irritation. You care for her, but your everlasting rage and apathy clouds that feeling. Shino replied. Naruto grunted but made no other response, causing Shino to shake his head. You are sounding like Uchiha-san. Before Naruto could respond, Hinata emerged from the bathroom. Shino walked into bathroom moments afterward, leaving Naruto and Hinata alone in their room. The blonde pondered Shino's words as he watched Hinata sit down on her bed and look out the window. He watched as the sun caused her midnight blue hair to shine in the room. Her pale skin seemingly glowed from the light. How do I feel about her? Naruto thought as he continued to study Hinata. You want her? Kyubi replied. How do you know? Naruto asked skeptically. The insect child explained it if you were listening. Kyubi stated casually. I heard what he said, but. Naruto started only to end when he found no way to explain his doubts in Shino's words. You realize it, but you are frightened. Kyubi said. What do I have to fear? Naruto retorted. In fact, why do you care? You fear that others will treat her like they treat you if you return her feelings. As for my concern, to be frank, I don't care. Kyubi replied, growling slightly. That's insane. If anybody attempted to treat like that, I would kill them. Naruto retorted. Kyubi sighed, frustrated by the boy's blatant rejection to his own feelings. Naruto-kun. Hinata called, snapping Naruto out of his mental conversation with the King of Demons. Huh? Naruto asked. Hinata tilted her head slightly in confusion. The blonde just kept an even gaze, so she shook her head. I asked if you were all right. You were staring at me and didn't respond when I called you the first few times. Hinata explained. Yeah, I'm fine. Naruto replied. Hinata nodded and smiled softly at Naruto. Naruto was about to say something when Shino exited the bathroom. Should we go train now? Shino asked as he sat on his bed. Yeah, sure. Naruto said as he got up and made his way out the room, Hinata and Shino right behind him. As Naruto walked out the dorm room, he flipped on his hood and began to think about what Shino had told him. The trio walked casually to the training facility when they bumped into the Suna team. Gaara glared holes into Naruto while leaking killer intent. The blonde smirked as he blasted Gaara back with his own killer intent. We had this battle before. I will kill you this time if you're not careful. Naruto said as his eyes blazed red under his hood. I was foolish and I underestimated you. Unfortunately for you, I won't make the same mistake twice. Gaara retorted as a devilish grin began to spread on his face. You are truly powerful Uzumaki, killing you will definitely prove my existence. Interesting, you seem to think you are capable of beating me. Let point something out to you. Your demon is weaker than mine while you yourself are weaker than me. Why would you think that you could beat me? Naruto asked, truly confused at Gaara's behavior. Simple. Your lust for blood is weaker than mine. Gaara stated, then walked away, his teammates right behind him. Naruto rolled his eyes before he continued onto the training facility with Hinata and Shino. As they approached the facility, they were stopped when A3 kunai flew straight at their faces. The blonde paid the weapon no mind as it was blocked by a chakra tail. Hinata and Shino lazily caught weapons between their two fingers before dropping them to the floor. Anko-sensei, the Naruto stated coolly. Anko then emerged from the shadows sporting a mile-wide grin. Brats, I'm proud. Not only were you the first team to enter He Tower, but you destroyed the last record by 36 hours. Anko said as she walked up to her team. Is there anything you needed? Naruto asked. What? Can't a sensei see her pupils to congratulate them on doing great? Anko said as she engulfed the three in a bear hug. You seem different though, sensei. Hinata stated. Anko smirked as she released them. Oh, that. I have just happened upon a little money courtesy of your performance. Anko explained. You bet on us? Shino asked. Yeah, and I made bank. I bet that you guys would be the first team and break the record. Every Junin and Anbu in our village bet against that, and now I have enough money to buy this fucking forest and not even dent my funds. Anko said as she grabbed Naruto's head and kissed him right on the forehead. Before the blonde could pull away, Anko grabbed him and began to dance around. Hinata giggled at the foolish display while Shino shook his head in amusement. After a couple of minutes of dancing, Naruto finally managed to break free of Anko's death grip. Well, I'm happy for you, Anko-sensei. Hinata said as Anko calmed down somewhat. Thanks, brat, but my newfound wealth can wait right now. We need to train a little to make sure you guys stay sharp. Anko stated as she opened the door to the train facility. Alright, brats, I want 10 laps around the track, 100 push-ups, 100 squats, and 200 sit-ups to start off. After that, I want you to go through your katas, taijutsu, and weapons. Finally, I want you to review your jutsu and practice any you haven't got down yet. Anko said, her voice strict and unbending. Teammate nodded before taking off on the track. Might as well join him, Anko said as she ran to catch up with her team. 4 days later, Naruto, Hinata, and Shino stood on the floor of the sparring arena with the 7 other genin teams that had made it to the tower with both scrolls. The time limit had expired moments ago, and Kurenai had instructed the teams who had passed to there. Seem like all the rookies passed so far. Kiba stated as he inspected the competition. Yeah, so did the team with Hinata's relative, the Suna team, Kabuto's team, Aram team, and the Oto team. Naruto said he caught the glare the other Hyuga was giving Hinata. The boy then turned to Naruto and the blonde glared at him. The boy rolled his eyes before looking back at his teammates. Congratulations on passing the exams so far. Sarutobi said, gaining the attention of all the genin. To make it this far is a great accomplishment in itself. You have all made your villagers proud. Sarutobi started only to stop as another ninja with his Hitai-8 in a bandana style over his head and a senbon needle in his mouth like a toothpick approached the Hokage and whispered something in his ear. The Hokage nodded, stepped back, and let the ninja speak. I'm Genma and I'm your proctor for the next portion of your exams. It has come to our attention that there are too many of you. This means we will have a preliminary round right now. Genma stated. What? We just got out of that forest and now you want us to fight? Kiba shouted in frustration. It can't be helped. There will many important people coming to see the final portion of the exam. We can't have it take too long and lose their attention. Genma stated. Now the preliminary round will consist of one-on-one fights. You fight until somebody is unable to continue or dead. If I think that the battle has a clear winner, I will intervene, but that is purely on my judgment, so don't expect to be bailed out of hard situations. If you think you're in trouble, forfeit. Now everybody but 2 names, the board says, head up to the balcony. The genin looked up to the board to see it was scrolling through names. When it stopped, 2 genin smirked arrogantly. Mubi versus Neji Hyuga. As everybody went up, the Hyuga looked at the Am ninja with a smirk. Though he wore an air mask-like mouthpiece and only had one eye visible, it was apparent in the way he held himself that he was smirking right back. Suggest you give up. Fate has already decided me to be the victor, Neji said as he slid into the Juoken stance. Konoha ninja are always so full of themselves. I'll enjoy beating that smirk off your face, Mubi retorted as he prepared to make hand signs. Are both competitors ready? Genma asked as he stood between the two. Both boys nodded, not even taking their eyes off each other. First match between Neji Hyuga and Mubi, begin, Genma shouted before jumping onto the balcony. Mubi was the first to react and began a short series of hand signs, then said, "Haze clone." Within an instant the floor was covered in clones surround Neji. The Hyuga prodigy didn't even flinch and casually activated his Byakugan. One of the clones charged and threw a punch at the Hyuga, but he made no move to stop it. When the fist connected, it phased right through Neji and he rolled his eyes. "I will ask again, give up. The outcome was decided the moment I was chosen as your opponent," Neji stated, causing an irritated growl to be emitted from within the mass of clones. Suddenly multiple clones began to charge at Neji. As they phased through him, Neji sighed. Then out of nowhere Neji spun and struck at an incoming Mubi right in the gut with an open palm. The blow landed and all the clones dispersed while the single Mubi coughed out blood onto Neji's arm. How? Mubi asked. "You didn't do your research," Neji stated as he removed his palm from Mubi's gut, causing him to fall on his face. "Hyuga have a dojutsu that allows us to see the chakra system and more. You clones don't have chakra systems, so finding the original was child's play." As Genma called the match, Neji walked up to his team and joined them without a word. The rest of the genin looked to the board and saw it already had two names. Rock Lee vs Naruto Uzumaki Yosh. "I will show everybody that my flames of youth burn brighter than the sun," Neji's spandex-wearing teammate shouted as he jumped down to the floor. "Good luck, Lee," the Junin sensei yelled, an almost exact copy of Lee. Naruto rolled his eyes at the antics before using a fire shunshin to get to the floor. "Are both competitors ready?" Genma asked. Lee nodded enthusiastically while Naruto rolled his eyes while he nodded. Then let the second match between Naruto Uzumaki and Rock Lee begin, Genma shouted. Then he jumped onto the balcony. Immediately Lee charged Naruto and aimed a straight punch to his face. The blonde didn't react as it was blocked by a tail of chakra. Lee jumped back before jumping into the air, aiming a helicopter kick at Naruto's face, only for the chakra tail block again. Lee adjusted his body and sent a spinning kick at Naruto's ankles faster than before. This time another tail of chakra appeared and blocked it. Lee flipped away and smiled. "Naruto-san, you are truly a worthy adversary," Lee said as he entered the Goken stance. "Lee, take him off," Guy shouted from the balcony. Lee saluted to his sensei before jumping onto the stone ram hand sign in the front of the arena. The spandex-clad ninja then proceeded to remove the ankle weights he had hidden under his orange leg warmers. Lee then dropped them to the floor below and everybody gasped as they formed two enormous craters upon impact. Naruto smirked. "Now things are getting interesting," the blonde said as he uncrossed his arms and got into a fighting stance. Lee disappeared in a burst of speed and in the next moment a chakra tail moved to side of Naruto's head. A loud bang was heard and everybody turned to see Lee's punch being blocked by the tail. Lee disappeared again and the other tail moved behind Naruto, blocking Lee's straight kick. Lee smirked at Naruto and disappeared again. Another tail shot out Naruto's lower back and blocked Naruto's face from a knee from Lee. Lee jumped back and smiled. "Now that I'm done warming up," Lee said while cracking his knuckles. Naruto shrugged and the 6 remaining tails shot out Naruto's lower back and began swaying menacingly. Lee then disappeared and the tails began moving around faster than most of the genin could see, blocking strikes from the impossibly fast genin. Naruto smirked as he tapped his chest and his trench knives appeared from their seal. Naruto put them on casually, then put his hood on. All the while the tails continued to block Lee's almost untraceable attacks. "You know, Lee, you're really good. My tails can barely match your speed right now, and I know you're faster than this, but I need to tell you something," Naruto said as his eyes began to blaze blood red under his hood. Then faster than anybody could see, Naruto ducked, then threw an uppercut into the air. Everybody gasped as Lee went flipping back from the blow and landed hard on his back. "I can still see you." Lee got up slowly and shook his head dazed, but before he could regain focus completely, Naruto was in front of him. Naruto drilled a knee into Lee's chest and sent him flying back. In an instant Naruto was where Lee was heading. Naruto sent an elbow at Lee's head, only for Lee to adjust his body and block it. The two disappeared and a boom came from the center of the room. When everybody looked, nobody was there, and then another sounded from on top of the ram hand sign. This time, before anybody had the chance to look, another boom sounded on the other side of the arena. Soon the booms were coming so fast it was impossible to tell where they were coming from. Lee has opened the first gate, Guy stated. Anko turned to him and smirked. Naruto just released his weights. Anko replied. That shouldn't matter, he won't be able to keep up with Lee now. Guy replied. A boom was heard, followed by a crash into the wall, caused dust to cover the area. When it cleared, Lee could be seen pulling himself out of the wall. Guy turned to Anko, shocked. How? He asked, wide-eyed. He's had those chakra weights since he was 5 and has never once removed them. Then you have to remember Kyuubi heals all his wounds faster than normal, including torn muscles. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he was fast enough to match your Lee in the third gate. Anko stated, grinning wildly. Then the two disappeared, and within a moment the booms were accompanied by grunts of pain. Then another crash was heard and the center of the arena exploded. When the smoke cleared, Lee was slowly getting out of a crater. His body was covered in bruises and cuts. Naruto landed at the edge of the crater and smirked. Come on, don't quit on me now, I was just starting to have fun. Naruto stated. Lee got up and crossed his arms over his chest. Second gate, gate of healing open. Third gate, gate of life open. Lee's skin turned red and his hair stood up. Fourth gate, gate of pain open. Chakra began to visible swirl around Lee while his body gave off a green glow and his eyes became pure white. Naruto smirked and Kyuubi's chakra encased him. Unlike the time the chakra encased him in Jin, the chakra retained its transparent red color. Naruto and Lee charged at each other again. This time the floor underneath them exploded from the force of their movement. Soon sonic booms were heard everywhere, along with huge craters forming wherever the boys landed and took off from. This isn't a battle between two genin, Kakashi said, making Junin and genin alike look to him. Some were shocked to see he had his Sharingan out watching. He's right, Asuma agreed. No mere genin should be able to fight like this. Heck, I can't track their speed. Guy, how could you teach your student this forbidden technique? His muscles are tearing, and if this fight doesn't end soon, they will be nothing more than shreds. Kakashi said, not taking his eyes off the match in front of him. Guy didn't reply, but instead he looked back at the arena. Suddenly Naruto and Lee appeared on the railing, with Lee blocking a kick with his forearm. The two began to exchange strikes on the railing so fast that they were just to blurs. Suddenly Lee was shot toward the ground and Naruto followed after destroying the railing. Lee hit the ground, forming a crater. Naruto impacted with him so hard that the crater doubled in size while the entire arena shook. When the smoke cleared, Naruto was seen standing on an unconscious Lee's chest. Genma jumped down and checked Lee. The proctor then gestured for the medics and stood up. Winner Naruto Uzumaki, Genma stated as Naruto walked back to his team. Kiba Inuzuka vs Zaku Abumi. Alright, guess it's my turn. You ready, boy? Kiba said. Akamaru barked in excitement from on top of Kiba's head. Kiba smirked as he jumped over the remains of the railing onto the arena floor. By the stairs of the end of the balcony, Zaku looked at his team and grinned. Looks like I'm up. Watch and be amazed, losers. Zaku said as he walked down the stairs. His female teammate glared while his other teammate, who was completely covered in gauze like a mummy, rolled his only visible eye. Once Kiba and Zaku on the arena floor, Genma walked between them. Save it, we're ready, Zaku said, cutting off Genma. Kiba nodded in agreement. Genma shrugged. Alright, let the third match of the prelims begin. Genma said before jumping onto the balcony. How do plan on fighting me without your arms? Kiba said, glancing at Zaku's arms, which were in slings. Don't worry about that. In fact, this one is feeling better. Zaku said, pulling one arm out of the sling and flexing it and rotating it. Like that will make a difference. Kiba said as he took Akamaru off his head. Then in a burst of speed, Kiba was in front of Zaku. Kiba threw a haymaker at Zaku face, only for the crippled ninja to smirked. Too slow, Zaku said as he ducked under the punch and placed the palm of his free hand on Kiba's stomach. Before the Inuzuka could react, he was blasted away. Kiba got up and shook his head in a fashion similar to a dog before smirking at Zaku. Now we're talking. I was having some reservation about beating on a cripple, but now I guess I don't have to hold back so much. Kiba said as he pulled out a capsule and tossed it at Zaku. Before the Oto ninja could react, the capsule exploded in smoke and covering most of area. What good will that do? Zaku asked as he blew all the away with a quick wave of his hand. Zaku looked back at Kiba to see the Inuzuka was no longer standing in the same spot. On reflex, Zaku turned around only to receive a punch to the face. While Zaku was still stunned, Kiba punched him in the stomach, causing Zaku to double over in pain. Kiba then grabbed Zaku's head and kneed Zaku in the face, knocking the boy away. Kiba's really just a brawler with a few tricks, Naruto stated as he watched the fight. It does fit him well though, Shikamaru replied through a yawn. Yeah, until he has to fight somebody who has reflexes fast enough to counter his attacks. That Lee kid I fought would probably beat him in an instant, Naruto replied. You give my teammate too much credit. Lee was destined to lose that fight the moment it began. Fate has decided him a loser since birth, a voice stated, and the rookies turned to see Neji leaning against the wall with his female teammate right next to him. If that kid's a loser, then everybody here wouldn't be worth my time, Naruto said. I have only 3 people who have forced me to ever push my limits. I fought Orochimaru of the Sannin was only toying with me when I fought him full force. My brother Yamato's Kekkei Genkai can nullify Kyuubi's chakra, so I always have to fight him with everything I have. Finally, Lee is so fast that toward the end of a fight, Kyuubi's chakra was flowing through my system just so I could keep up. To be completely honest, our fight was only slightly in me favor until we landed on the railing. At that point, the backlash of opening the 8 gates was what won me our fight, and he still was going at it until he flinched from that pain. It doesn't matter, he will still never become any more than a dead last, Neji replied. I doubt it. I'm sure if he were to fight you, he wouldn't have to open more than the 2nd gate to beat you. That's overrating your skills by a lot too, Naruto replied. Suddenly the immediate area dropped 20 degrees. Naruto gazed at Neji, who was brimming with fully contained killer intent. Hit a nerve? Naruto asked as Neji glared at him. That weakling will never beat me, Neji growled. Are you trying to convince me or yourself? Naruto replied as he returned Neji's glare with an even gaze. Neji growled before turned back to the fight. Naruto rolled his eye before turning back as well, just in time to see a currently red Shikamaru jump onto Kiba, who was crouched at all 4. Secret art, man beast clone, Kiba said as he and Shikamaru were engulfed in a cloud of smoke. When it cleared, Shikamaru had transformed into Kiba, while both he and the original were extremely feral in appearance. Fang over fang, Kiba said as he and Shikamaru turned into 2 spinning drills going straight at Zaku. The teenage shinobi glared before pulling his other hand out of its sling and pointing both his arms at the drills. Tunneling air cannon, Zaku shouted, and 2 jets of air shoot out of his arms and hit Kiba and Shikamaru. Though the blast of wind didn't stop the 2 spinning drills, it did redirect them enough to miss Zaku. The 2 drills came to a stop and Kiba and Shikamaru turned to face Zaku, grinning at the Oto ninja. Now things are about to get interesting. Try to keep up, Kiba said as he and Shikamaru became drills again and came barreling at Zaku again twice as fast. The Oto ninja smirked as he jumped over the first drill, then adjusted his body in mid-air to avoid the second one. Oh, I will, Zaku said as he turned around and shot one of the drills in the back. The drill crashed into the wall and was engulfed in smoke. When it cleared, Shikamaru lay motionless at the base of the wall. Shikamaru, Kiba's voice came the other drill. That drill turned around and shot straight for Zaku. He really has no control over his emotions, Shino stated as everybody watched Kiba keep trying to hit Zaku even though the ninja was now just playing with him. He'll get killed with that lack of control, Sasuke replied. Enough games, Zaku said as he jumped over, spinning Kiba one more time. You're boring me. Kiba came spinning at Zaku one more time and Zaku brought both his hands up, pointing both air holes right at Kiba. Just as Kiba got within a few feet of him, Zaku released a blast of wind from both his arms. To his surprise, Kiba wasn't blasted away like most thought would happen. Instead, the boy was stopped in his tracks, yet he continued to spin. Suddenly Kiba began spinning faster and he inched closer to Zaku. Zaku glared and pushed out more wind chakra through his air holes and Kiba stopped moving forward again. Well, they're at a stalemate, Shikamaru said. This won't end well, Chuji replied. Why? Ino asked. Those 2 are putting all of their chakra into this attack. They will reach their limit in a moment, then there is no telling what could happen, Hinata said as she looked at the fight with her Byakugan active. As Zaku and Kiba continued to battle for dominance, the wind from Zaku's jutsu whipped wildly between the two. Zaku glared as he saw Kiba's drilling body move even closer until it was only inches from his hands. With a growl of effort, Zaku put even more chakra into his jutsu. Suddenly Kiba stopped spinning and was launched into the wall, creating a crater as large as the one Naruto had made with Lee. Zaku smirked, but it was short-lived when he attempted stopped his air tunnels and found he couldn't. What the Zaku started until searing pain started envelope his hands. Then blood began to flow out of his hands along with the wind, forming two twin jets of red mist. What's happening to him? Tenten asked over the screaming of Zaku. Wind chakra cuts, Naruto stated. Apparently those tubes he uses to shoot wind chakra out reached their limit and malfunctioned. Now they won't stop, and now they're destroying his arms from the inside out. Oh my god, Ino whispered as she turned away from the scene. After a few seconds the jet stopped and Zaku collapsed to the ground unconscious from the pain. Genma dropped down onto the arena floor and glanced at Kiba's body still embedded into the wall. He then turned to Zaku, who was laying face down, blood seeping out of both his hands. Both competitors can no longer battle, so the match ends in a draw. Genma said before motioning to the medics. Within moments the medic had removed Kiba and Zaku from the arena floor. When they did, Genma looked at the four corners on the roof before nodding. To the surprise of most, multiple Anbu appeared on the arena floor and began fixing damage done. 3 began filling the craters using mud jutsu, while they were hardened by Anbu using fire jutsu. When all the craters were filled, the Anbu disappeared and the screen began to shuffle through names again. Kankuro vs Ino Yamanaka. Alright, it's my turn. I'm going to kick ass. Ino shouted before flipping down to the arena floor. This one's for you, Sasuke-kun. Wow, I'm fighting a fangirl, this is going to be a waste of my time. Kankuro replied as he walked down the steps. I heard that asshole. Ino shouted. You were supposed to. Kankuro retorted. Ino growled but bit back any further retorts. Alright, fourth match between Kankuro and Ino Yamanaka begin. Genma said right before he jumped back onto the railing. I'll give you the first move. Kankuro stated as he took the bundle off his back and leaned on it like a cane. You'll regret that. Ino replied. Ino formed a hand sign before looking, pointing it at Kankuro. Mind-body switch jutsu. Ino collapsed and for a minute nothing happened. Then chuckling began to emit from the bundle. The wrappings began to fall off to reveal Kankuro laughing. Before anybody could make heads or tails of the situation, the first Kankuro skin began to peel off, revealing a puppet. Wow, and here I thought Konoha ninja were elite of the shinobi world. Kankuro said, looking at Ino's prone form. Proctor, can I go back up? Kankuro said as he looked to Genma. Hey, I'm not done yet. Kankuro turned to see Ino standing with a kunai in each hand. You really are over your head. You should just give up. Kankuro replied. Funny thing about us Konoha shinobi. We don't know how to give up. Ino retorted before she charged Kankuro. The Suna shinobi sighed before he commanded his puppet to intercept her. Both hands shot off the puppet's wrist to reveal 2 blades coated in dark purple liquid. Careful, both those blades are coated in a very lethal poison. Kankuro stated casually as he sent his puppet on the attack. Ino was about to respond until she was forced to block one blade with her kunai. Ino gasped when she felt the strength of the blow. The puppet then swept its other blade, aiming to decapitate Ino. The platinum blonde blocked the strike with her other kunai. Bad move. Kankuro stated as he flicked a finger and his puppet opened its mouth and a cloud of purple smoke engulfed Ino. Proctor, she'll probably need medical attention. That poison gas takes effect in less than. Kankuro started until he felt something press against his throat. Another thing about us Konoha shinobi is it's very unwise to underestimate us. Ino whispered into his ear. Now you can either give up now, or I can see how fast it takes to drain the blood from your body. How about the third option, you die? Kankuro replied before his skin peeled off to reveal another puppet. The puppet opened its torso and pulled Ino inside. Then the first puppet body disassembled, revealing Kankuro inside. You should be very proud. Not any genin could force me to use Crow and Black Ant. Now I suggest you give up. There is no way out, and if you force me to, I will kill you. Kankuro replied with a smirk. Fine. Proctor, I submit. Ino muffled voice stated from inside of Black Ant. Kankuro smirked as he opened the torso of the puppet. Ino was trapped. Kankuro pulled out a scroll and sealed Black Ant before he wrapped Crow up again. Upon finishing, Kankuro made his way up to the balcony to join his siblings and sensei. You used Crow and Black Ant. You really are pathetic to be forced to use both of them against such a weak opponent. Temari remarked as Kankuro joined them. Kankuro ignored the jab as he watched the screen shuffle through names. Sakura Haruno vs Dosu Kinuta, of course I get the weakest one here. Dosu replied as he looked down the balcony to see Sakura had visibly paled. Dosu rolled his eyes before jumping down to the arena floor. Sakura, you can always give up if you think you're not capable of holding your own. Kakashi stated as he saw the anxiety in Sakura's eyes as she looked down at her opponent. No, I won't give up before the match has even started. Sakura said as she jumped down to the arena floor. Are you both ready? Genma asked as he landed between the two. Receiving two nods, Genma said, fifth match between Sakura Haruno and Dosu Kinuta begin. Almost before Genma could jump up to balcony, Sakura charged Dosu. Surprised by the offensive tactic, Dosu almost didn't react fast enough to dodge the wild haymaker Sakura threw. At the last minute though, Dosu dove under the strike. Sakura had thrown most of her weight into the punch, resulting in her losing balance when the strike missed Dosu. Using the opening, Dosu hit Sakura with an uppercut to the jaw that sent her flying back to where she originally started. Pathetic, you fought better in the forest. Dosu stated as Sakura got up shakily. Ignoring his comment, Sakura went through a few hand seals. When she finished, 4 clones appeared on either side of her. The clone and original pulled out kunai before circling Dosu. Suddenly all of the Sakura clones charged Dosu, aiming to stab him with their weapon. The Oto Shinobi's eye shone devilishly before spun around and caught a Sakura by the wrist and twisted. A scream of pain informed everybody that Dosu had broken Sakura's wrist. The clones all disappeared in puffs of smoke due Sakura suddenly lack in focus to keep him up, and Dosu shook his head. That simple trick may have been able to keep my teammate off guard, but I could tell which was the real entire time. Dosu said arrogantly as he released Sakura only to kick her in the chest, sending flying into a wall. Sakura grunted in pain before sliding down the wall into a sitting position. You see, the thing about clones are that they don't affect their environment. They don't leave footprints or shadows. In this case, they don't make noise. When a kunai is swung, a slight whizzing noise is made as the blade cuts through the air. Only the original made that noise. Dosu explained. Sakura spat out some blood before she got up. This time Dosu charged and punched Sakura in the stomach with his gauntlet-covered fist. Sakura gasped as she was lifted off her feet. Then without warning, Sakura yelled in pain and threw up. Dosu was just fast enough to avoid being hit with the vomit. Sakura grabbed her ear before she fell to the ground unconscious in her own puke. Winner Dosu, Genma said as the medics placed Sakura on a stretcher and took her away. Sasuke Uchiha vs Obero, it's about time. Obero said as he dropped down to the floor. Sasuke simply smirked as he followed suit. When both competitors dropped into fighting stances, Genma took that as being ready before he addressed the crowd. Sixth match between Sasuke Uchiha and Obero begin. Almost before Genma had time to jump back to the balcony, Obero flashed through hand signs. Demonic illusion. Hell viewing jutsu. Obero murmured so nobody heard him. While he had murmured, the Genin had continued hand signs before yelling, water style, black rain jutsu. A large cloud covered the ceiling before rain started to pour down on everybody. Is this oil? Ino asked, attempted to use Chuji's arms to keep herself dry. Yeah. Naruto answered as a tail of chakra shot out of his lower back and expanded large enough to block any oil from landing on his team. Wow, you're using Kyuubi's power like an awning. That's new. Anko said as she looked up at the chakra tail keeping the oil off them. Naruto didn't respond, he just looked at the fight. You're a genius, so I'm guessing you know why I did this, don't you? Obero asked. You realized since I'm part of the Uchiha clan I specialize in fire jutsu. With oil raining down, any jutsu I do will blow up in my face. Obero nodded. But I'm not done yet. Obero said as he did more hand signs. Water style. Hidden mist jutsu. Then the oil on the floor and still raining formed a thick black mist that completely blocked the arena from being viewed at the balcony. Why did Sasuke just watch him do all those jutsu? Sakura asked. None of those other ninjas' jutsus were attacks. In Sasuke's eyes, all the ninja did was waste chakra. Kakashi explained. Sasuke focused in an attempt to find Obero through the black mist. The Uchiha prodigy then whipped around when he sensed somebody behind him only to gasp. Sasuke began to back away as the person he felt was his older brother, murderer of the Uchiha clan, the infamous Itachi Uchiha. "Hello baby brother," Itachi said. How did you get in here?" Sasuke asked, fear evident in his voice. "There are Anbu here, even the Hokage is in this room, you couldn't have snuck in." "Are you sure?" a voice whispered in Sasuke's ear. The youngest of the remaining Uchiha blood ran cold as the Itachi in front of him dispersed into multiple ravens. "You came here to finish what you started?" Sasuke asked. "Yes," Itachi stated as the sound of a sword being drawn echoed in Sasuke's ear. Something snapped in Sasuke and he jumped back while glaring at his brother. "I don't think so." Sasuke activated his Sharingan. To his surprise, Itachi's image faded and he could see chakra swirling around him. "Genjutsu," Sasuke murmured. Sasuke released the genjutsu just in time to duck under a kunai that would have otherwise buried itself in his forehead. "You broke free already?" Obero panted out as he disappeared into the mist. "You sound tired," Sasuke stated as he tried to locate Obero. For a longer while nothing happened, but then Sasuke flipped into the air, avoiding a sluggish attack from Obero. Sasuke made to attack, but he suddenly felt searing pain in his shoulder where his curse mark was located. "Not now," Sasuke murmured as he fell onto his stomach, unable to complete his flip. "What's the matter? Something not agreeing with you?" Obero said as he kicked the downed Sasuke in the stomach. Sasuke managed to get up only to receive punch to the gut. Obero was about to hit Sasuke the face only for Sasuke to catch his wrist. "Enough," Sasuke growled. Sasuke, while still holding Obero's wrist, Sasuke kicked him in the face. Sasuke then jabbed Obero in the face, breaking his nose. Obero held his nose to stem the flow of blood. "You shit, I'm going to kick your ass," Obero shouted only to receive a punch to the temple, knocking him out. With not Obero awake to continue his jutsu, the mist faded and the black rain stopped. "What happened down there?" At first Sasuke was talking nonsense down there, then all of the sudden it started to sound like he was kicking ass. Ino asked as she released Chuji's arm, allowing him to put it down. Sasuke was put under a genjutsu at the beginning of the fight, but the ninja's abilities with hand seals is impressive. He did 3 different jutsus, yet if he hadn't have spoke it would only seemed like one. Kurenai replied. But it cost him performing such a feat drain him of chakra, so he had to recover, giving Sasuke the time to break free of the genjutsu. Asuma retorted. "Shikamaru Nara versus Kabuto Yakushi, troublesome," Shikamaru mumbled. "Proctor, that forest was rough and I'm still not ready to fight again." "I submit," Kabuto stated. Genma shrugged before announcing Shikamaru the winner. "Oh, this is too troublesome," Shikamaru moaned. "Why, you didn't even have to fight?" Ino asked. "He's upset because he has to compete in the finals," Naruto explained just as the names on the board stopped shuffling. "Kintsuchi versus Tenten, good luck my precious student, show them all that your flames of youth burn as bright as the sun on the hottest of summer days," Guy shouted as Tenten jumped down to the arena floor. "Konoha is full of weirdos," Kin mumbled as she walked into the center of the arena. "He's one of the best, he has every right to be a little eccentric," Tenten retorted. "Insult my sensei or my village again and it might be the last thing you do." "Hit a nerve, did I?" Kin mocked. Tenten didn't respond. "Are you both ready?" Genma asked. Both kunoiki nodded, though the arrogance in Kin's nod was almost tangible. "Then let the 8 match between Kintsuchi and Tenten begin," Genma said before jumping onto the railing. Almost simultaneously the girls jumped back while reaching into their weapons pouches. Kin pulled out a fistful senbon needles, some had small bells attached to the ends, while Tenten held a few kunai and shuriken. "That was foolish," Guy stated to nobody in general. His sudden comment actually drew more attention since his voice wasn't raised to a tone that could cause hearing loss. "How so?" Asuma asked. "Tenten is a weapons specialist," Guy replied. The spandex-clad Junin shook his head. "While the girls is no master at any specific weapon, her skill far surpasses anybody who not a master themselves. On top of that, her aim is flawless. She's never missed. So trying to fight Tenten with weapons is a difficult task to accomplish." Shino asked. "It's almost impossible," Guy corrected. Kin launched her senbon at Tenten, then crossed her fingers in a hand seal that Naruto immediately recognized. Shadow Senbon Jutsu. Kin stated as the few Senbon she had instantly become dozens. Tenten didn't even bat an eyelash. She just tossed 4 kunai forward, then launching another to the side at an almost untraceable speed. Tenten twitched her finger slightly and the kunai she tossed to the side curved behind the Senbon Kin had tossed. Almost as soon as the faster kunai passed behind the last Senbon, the 4 kunai she tossed bounced off Senbon, deflecting all the small needles by ricocheting around the small wave of needles. How did she do that? Ino asked. Like Guy-sensei said, Tenten's aim is flawless. Neji answered. Ino just stared dumbstruck. But was the other kunai for? Chuji asked while eating from a bag of chips. Ninja wire was attached to the extremity of some of the Senbon needles. I assume Tenten-san didn't know what they were for but didn't want to take any chances. Shino explained as he adjusted his shades. How did you catch the wire? Kin asked as she pulled the, now useless, ninja wire off her fingertips. Tenten didn't respond. Oh, now you're too good to talk. Kin stated, her temper rising dangerously. Tenten just crossed her arms over her chest and shifted her weight over to one foot. Oh, now you're dead. Kin growled before pulling out 2 kunai and charging blindly at Tenten. The Konoha genin just shook her head. Just before Kin was in striking distance, Tenten drummed her fingers against her bicep and the 4 kunai she had thrown earlier came shooting at Kin and embedded themselves in her calves and biceps. Kin fell to her knees and looked at Tenten stunned. Tenten pulled out a kunai and placed the blade against Kin's throat. Chakra strings are far more efficient than ninja wire. Tenten stated coolly. Winner Tenten. Genma announced as he dropped down to the arena floor. Tenten winked at Kin before jumping up to the top railing. Shino Aberame vs Yoroy Okado, well this should be interesting. Yoroy teammate Misumi murmured to Kabuto. Indeed the 2 chakra suckers of the Chunin exams. Kabuto replied, leaning on the railing to get a closer view. Across the arena on the other balcony the conversation of the fight was much more lively. Dude, it's like the 2 masked men. Kiba stated. Shino is like Bugman and that Yoroy could be his arch-enemy. I'm drawing a blank, anybody got an idea? Kiba, I don't think I've said it enough, so let me reiterate. You are an idiot. Naruto said. The group of genin nodded in agreement. Ignoring Kiba's stupidity, this match does seem like it would be interesting. We saw that guy and his 2 teammates in the forest. That Yoroy has the ability to suck chakra from a person with physical contact, while the Aberame are famous for their insects that suck people of their chakra. Shikamaru stated. Guess we're going to find out who's the best sucker. Chuji stated. Dude, that just sounds gay. Kiba stated. Akamaru yipped in agreement. Troublesome, but honestly Chuji, he's right, choose your words better. Shikamaru stated. But when did you get back here? Weren't you in the medical ward? I got back right as the spandex dude's teammate used chakra strings and the kunai to beat her opponent. Kiba answered. The doc said my back will be a little sensitive, but other than that I should be fine. You should have gave up, kid. I'm on a whole different level. Yoroy replied, trying to intimidate Shino. The masked Aberame didn't respond, instead he pushed some chakra into the seal on his right shoulder blade, releasing his bow. Shino grabbed the bow and dropped into a defensive stance. All right, Yoroy said as he pulled out a kunai. The 2 shinobi stared each other down intensely for what seemed like minutes. Neither twitched or made any indication of making an attack. Then bugs started to flow out of Shino's clothes. Yoroy shifted slightly, causing his sunglasses to glint. Then with no warning the cloud of insects swarmed Yoroy. Even as he was engulfed, Yoroy still made no movements. A clone, quite impressive. I didn't even see you form it. Shino said as he felt the blade of a kunai press against his throat. You're not bad yourself, your clan's unique bug clone. Yoroy said as he jumped back. A moment later the Shino standing there dispersed into a swarm of bugs. Yoroy put the bugs to the back of his mind as he ducked under a swing from Shino's bow. Yoroy spun around and lifted his kunai over his head, blocking a downward strike from Shino's bow. Your strength is stunning. That blow would have cracked my head like an egg. Yoroy stated. Shino didn't respond, instead he backed away, spinning his bow around his body in an impressive display. Fancy, but not, it's a waste time. Yoroy stated as he charged right as Shino was about put his back to him. Yoroy smirked as he stabbed his kunai right at Shino exposed back. Just before he made contact, Shino bent forward, avoiding the blow. Shino then jabbed his bow into the hand Yoroy was holding his kunai, causing him to release it. Before Yoroy could recover from Shino kicked the prone ninja in the chest. Yoroy, ignoring the searing pain in his chest, flipped his body so that his feet landed on the wall. Using chakra, the elder Konoha Genin stuck to the wall. Looking to Shino, Yoroy noticed that he was now positioned in a offensive stance, his bow held behind him while one arm was pointing forward at him. So you're going on the attack? Yoroy asked. No, this fight has reached its conclusion, Shino said as he placed his bow on his shoulder and it disappeared in a puff of smoke. What? Yoroy asked until he lost control of his chakra and fell to the floor. Yoroy tried to adjust his body in the air, but he found he didn't have the energy to do so. Yoroy landed on the arena floor in a crumpled heap. I assume you can feel it now? Shino asked. Yoroy understood immediately. He could feel hundreds of the tiny insects crawling all over his body. When? Yoroy managed. When you blocked my bow. My weapon is engulfed in my insects. The moment we made contact, they swarmed onto your body. Your musing on my strength distracted you from that, Shino stated. Winner Shino Aberame, Genma stated as he dropped to the arena floor. Shino nodded to the Junin before recalling his bugs and walking up to the balcony. You held back quite a bit, Shino, Naruto murmured when Shino reached the group. Why show everything when my opponent didn't require me to? Shino responded in an equally hushed tone. Naruto nodded. So Hinata, you are the only member of a team who hasn't fought yet. Naruto stated, his tone somewhat aloof. I won't lose, Hinata said, her voice soft but still full of conviction. Naruto smirked slightly while Shino nodded. That's the spirit, Hinata. You're going to be the finale to Team 8's clean sweep, Anko said as she grabbed her 3 genin in a hug. Getting quite confident, aren't we? Kakashi said. Anko turned to see the other teams and their Junin sensei looking at her. Why shouldn't I be? I'm the only team who have had all their members win and Hinata is no slouch. The only person she would have trouble with is that Suna nut job, Anko said. Just then the board stopped shuffling. Hinata Hyuga versus Gaara. Wow. Now that is just Kami fucking with you, Asuma stated as everybody looked to the board. It doesn't matter, Hinata can still take this mental case, Anko retorted confidently. Good luck, Hinata, Naruto stated before glancing at Gaara. The blonde frowned when he saw Gaara staring at Hinata with insane grin. The redhead turned to Naruto and mouthed something that made Naruto glare. He calmed his expression to see Hinata listening to Shino. Naruto tapped her shoulder. Hinata, Naruto murmured, only loud enough for her to hear. Yes, Naruto-kun, Hinata asked, her voice soft as usual. Naruto leaned in close to her ear. Hinata shivered when Naruto warm breath caressing her skin. Be careful, Naruto said, his voice barely a whisper. Hinata could only nod as her voice was caught in her throat. A ghost of a smile appeared on Naruto's face as he pulled away. Hinata nodded again and walked down to the arena with a vibrant blush on her face. Oh, Naruto was a romantic love-filled good luck for your girlfriend, Ino squealed. No, Naruto deadpanned. Ino sighed and mumbled something about stupid blondes who ignore their feelings. What did you say to Hinata? Shino asked. Be careful, Naruto answered before turning down to the arena. What is it? Shino asked, senses his teammate's anxiety. I looked at him and he mouthed to me, enjoy the show, Naruto said through gritted teeth. Are both competitors ready? Gaara nodded, his malicious smile still painted on his face. Hinata nodded as well as she moved her hand right below her left breast and pressed the seal there, releasing her seal right as Genma began the fight. Hinata caught her bow and tilted her head to the right slightly. Moment later a large bang sounded behind her. The spectators turned to see a large crater in the wall. What the hell was that? Ino asked, gaping at the crater. The cork to Gaara's good, Naruto said. Down at arena, Hinata had just unsealed her quiver and nocked an arrow. You realize that my sand will only block that arrow, right? Gaara stated in a bored tone. Suddenly Gaara's sand shot behind him and blocked something. Gaara glanced behind him to see Hinata jabbing the sand with 2 fingers. To his surprise, some of the sand would stay on the floor after she touched it. What? Gaara asked. Your sand is controlled by chakra. My taijutsu allows me to disrupt chakra, Hinata stated. Gaara nodded and waved his hand at Hinata. A wave of sand flew at the Hyuga Heiress. Being so close, Hinata couldn't dodge and she was engulfed. Sand binding coffin. Gaara droned as he held his hand up like he was holding a cup. The sand covering Hinata lifted her off the ground and completely engulfed her body. Naruto tensed and suddenly the room was filled in killer intent. Gaara turned to Naruto and smirked. Cute. I'll kill him. Naruto growled. Desert funeral. Gaara said. The redhead closed his hand into a fist and the sand surrounding Hinata imploded, spraying liquid everywhere. Water. Gaara questioned aloud. Water style. Explosive water shock wave. Hinata voiced echoed throughout the room. Gaara's sand suddenly covered the boy in a dome moments before 4 jets of water hit him. The jets continues until the water reached the balcony. When the jet stopped, everybody glanced to see 4 Hinatas standing above the water panting heavily. 3 Hinatas turned into water and added to the flooded arena while the remaining one took a deep breath before activating her Byakugan. Hinata gasped before jumping forward. A moment later a spear of sand came shooting out of the water. The moment Hinata landed she skated to the side to avoid another spear. Hinata jumped up to and then spun dodging 2 spears and then suddenly a giant ball of sand came shooting out of the water hurtling toward Hinata. The moment Hinata landed she began to spin and release chakra from her body. Kaiten, Hinata shouted just before she was engulfed in a dome of chakra. The ball of sand impacted Hinata's Kaiten and the two slid back on the water. The sand ball came apart revealing a soaking wet Gaara. Hinata's Kaiten stopped and reveled, Hinata holding her bow with her arrow knocked. Hinata released the arrow that flew at a breakneck pace at Gaara. The sand blocked the flying projectile but, because it was weighed down by water, the arrow reached within an inch of Gaara's face. Gaara growled and the sand shattered the arrow to splinters. You Konoha shinobi have begun to annoy me. You will the first to give blood to mother. Now, make me feel alive. Gaara screamed, commanding multiple tendrils of sand to shout at Hinata. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.